never to tell a human soul about this affair. It will be so high-minded and honourable to shield him thus from the contempt he deserves. With all my faults, I am glad that there is nothing mean or little about me. January 27. I can't bear to write it down, but I will. The ink was hardly dry yesterday on the above self-laudation when Amelia came. She had been out of town, and had only just learned what had happened. Of course she was curious to know the whole story, and I told it to her, every word of it. Oh, Kate Mortimer, how high-minded you are! How free from all that is mean and little! I could tear my hair if it would do any good. Amelia defended Charlie, and I was thus led on to say every harsh thing of him I could think of. She said he was so sensitive a nature, had so much sensibility, and such a constitutional aversion to seeing suffering, that for her part she could not blame him. It is such a pity you had not had your lungs examined before you wrote that first letter, she went on. But you are so impulsive. If you had only waited you would be engaged to Charlie still. I am thankful I did not wait, I cried angrily. Do, Amelia, drop the subject forever. You and I shall never agree upon it. The truth is, you are two-thirds in love with him, and have been all along." She coloured and laughed, and actually looked pleased. If any one had made such an outrageous speech to me, I should have been furious. "I suppose you know," said she, "that old Mr. Underhill has taken such a fancy to him that he has made him his heir, and he is as rich as a Jew." "Indeed," I said dryly. "I wonder if mother knew it when she opposed our engagement so strenuously." January 31. I have asked her, and she said she did. Mr. Underhill told her his intentions when he urged her consent to the engagement. Dear mother, how unworldly, how unselfish she is! February 4. The name of Charlie Underhill appears on these pages for the last time. He is engaged to Amelia. From this moment she is lost to me forever. How desolate, how mortified, how miserable I am! Who could have thought this of Amelia? She came to see me, radiant with joy. I concealed my disgust until she said that Charlie felt now that he had never really loved me, but had preferred her all along. Then I burst out. What I said I do not know, and do not care. The whole thing is so disgraceful that I should be a stock or stone not to resent it. February 5. After yesterday's passion of grief, shame, and anger, I feel perfectly stupid and languid. Oh, that I was prepared for a better world, and could fly to it and be at rest. February 6. Now that it is all over, how ashamed I am of the fury I have been in, and which has given Amelia such advantage over me. I was beginning to believe that I was really living a feeble and fluttering, but real Christian life, and finding some satisfaction in it. But that is all over now. I am doomed to be a victim of my own unstable, passionate, wayward nature, and the sooner I settle down into that conviction, the better. And yet how my very soul craves the highest happiness, and refuses to be comforted while that is wanting. February 7. After writing that, I do not know what made me go to see Dr. Cabot. He received me in that cheerful way of his that seems to promise the taking one's burden right off one's back. "I am very glad to see you, my dear child," he said. I intended to be very dignified and cold, as if I was going to have any Dr. Cabot's undertaking to sympathize with me. But those few kind words just upset me, and I began to cry. "You would not speak so kindly," I got out at last. if you knew what a dreadful creature I am. I am angry with myself, and angry with everybody, and angry with God. I can't be good 2 minutes at a time. I do everything I do not want to do, and do nothing I try and pray to do. Everybody plagues me and tempts me, and God does not answer any of my prayers, and I am just desperate." "Poor child," he said, in a low voice, as if to himself, "poor heartsick, tired child, that cannot see what I can see, that its father's loving arms are all about it." I stopped crying to strain my ears and listen. He went on: "Katy, all that you say may be true. I dare say it is, but God loves you. He loves you." "He loves me," I repeated to myself. "He loves me! Oh, Dr. Cabot, if I could believe that, if I could believe that, after all the promises I have broken, all the foolish, wrong things I have done and shall always be doing, God perhaps still loves me." "You may be sure of it," he said solemnly. "I, minister, bring the gospel to you today. Go home and say over and over to yourself, 'I am a wayward, foolish child, but He loves me. I have disobeyed and grieved Him 10,000 times, but He loves me. I have lost faith in some of my dearest friends and am very desolate, but He loves me. I do not love Him, I am even angry with Him, but He loves me.'" I came away, and all the way home I fought this battle with myself, saying, "He loves me." I knelt down to pray, and all my wasted, childish, wicked life came and stared me in the face. I looked at it, and said with tears of joy, "But He loves me." Never in my life did I feel so rested, so quieted, so sorrowful, and yet so satisfied. February 10. What a beautiful world this is, and how full it is of truly kind, good people! Mrs. Morris was here this morning, and just one squeeze of that long, yellow old hand of hers seemed to speak a bookful. I wonder why I have always disliked her so, for she is really an excellent woman. I gave her a good kiss to pay her for the sympathy she had sense enough not to put into canting words, and if you will believe it, dear old journal, the tears came into her eyes, and she said, "You are one of the Lord's beloved ones, though perhaps you do not know it." I repeated again to myself those sweet, mysterious words, and then I tried to think what I could do for him, but I could not think of anything great or good enough. I went into Mother's room and put my arms round her and told her how I loved her. She looked surprised and pleased. "Ah, I knew it would come," she said, laying her hand on her Bible. "Knew what would come, Mother." "Peace," she said. I came back here and wrote a little note to Amelia, telling her how ashamed and sorry I was that I could not control myself the other day. Then I wrote a long letter to James. I have been very careless about writing to him. Then I began to hem those handkerchiefs Mother asked me to finish a month ago. But I could not think of anything to do for God. I wish I could. It makes me so happy to think that all this time, while I was caring for nobody but myself, and fancying He must almost hate me, He was loving and pitying me. February 15. I went to see Dr. Cabot again today. He came down from his study with his pen in his hand. "How dare you come and spoil my sermon on Saturday?" he asked good-humouredly. Though he seemed full of loving kindness, I was ashamed of my thoughtlessness, though I did not know he was particularly busy on Saturdays. If I were a minister I am sure I would get my sermons done early in the week. "I only wanted to ask you one thing," I said. "I want to do something for God, and I cannot think of anything unless